Now, a Sunday night exclusive. Hello, I'm Melissa Doyle. It's one of those crimes that's almost beyond belief. 3 young women obsessed with the gruesome, the macabre and worse. Deadly games that led to murder. The victim, a harmless old man, stabbed to death in his own home. The killer, his beloved granddaughter. From the moment Brittany Dwyer was born, she was adored by her grandfather, Robert Whitwell.
Oh dear, that was a big yawn.
Capturing precious moments on video.
That was a big yawn.
Holding her in his arms, full of love and hope. But little Brittany would grow up to become a psychopathic killer who would brutally take the life of the man she called Popper. Could she just be pure, cold, hard evil?
I think true, full-blown psychopaths are the closest we come to evil.
Tonight, we hear from the people who are trying to make sense of how the girl they knew and loved grew into the monster who killed her grandfather. Brittany's mother.
What are the signs that I missed? What did I miss? What didn't I see? What didn't I pick up on?
Brother.
I think about what I could have done to stop it. I think about why Brittany did it.
And Brittany's partner in crime, who for the first time reveals their dark, chilling secrets.
You discussed killing people at rave parties, going on rampages, slitting throats.
Brittany would recruit 2 friends to rob her grandfather. Then she stabbed him in the throat. And as he bled to death, she did the washing up and for weeks pretended to grieve with her family.
I've lost 2 people. I've lost my dad and I've lost my daughter. And I don't know if I will ever understand the whole story.
Hello, who are you looking at? Said I don't know, if I should say.
Come in. Right in, sit down.
Brittany's grandfather took his video camera everywhere.
Brittany, we've got to go now.
Capturing holidays and celebrations.
A nice cup of tea.
We were just a happy, normal family. We did what every other family would do.
Ryan is Brittany's older brother.
That's very nice. Don't wake her up, will you?
She's so sweet and, you know, she went through life as a normal, you know, girl growing up, really.
She was very strong-willed. She was very much tomboy. Yeah, she was adventurous. She loved life. She just enjoyed what we gave her.
And her grandfather, Robert, doted on her.
It gives me great pleasure to be present here today with Tonya and Gary on their very special day to enjoy and celebrate their wedding day festivities. And how could I forget Ryan and Brittany? They both played such a wonderful part today. 2 beautiful and healthy children to be blessed with. And I'd like them both to know that how proud their papa was of them today.
That's it.
Tonya, a stay-at-home mum, and her husband Gary, a builder, raised their kids in Brisbane, but made regular trips back to Adelaide to visit Robert whenever they could.
One for the little boy that lives down the lane. A little boy. Say little boy.
Little boy.
The little boy.
Can I see your name, Mummy?
Oh, he was so immaculate. He would literally almost wear a suit to Coles. And he just had such core values.
What sort of relationship did he have with Brittany?
Brittany was very different. Ryan was very outgoing where Brittany wasn't.
But were they close?
Yeah.
By the time Brittany got to high school, the happy little child had faded away, replaced by a moody teenage girl who struggled to fit in.
She just found that she couldn't fit in, and so she became somewhat of a bully I believe, to isolate herself from others, which then backfired on her, and she then was getting bullied.
And then we realised that she was self-harming, and I took her to a psychologist to try and work through her issues.
More female psychopaths self-harm than males.
Dr. Xanthi Mallet is a criminologist who specialises in violent female offenders.
And that self-harm can take many forms. It can be physical self-harm, cutting, but it can also be drug-taking, promiscuous sex. It can be overeating. So all of these different tendencies, which make other people feel sorry for them and they have this vulnerability, may actually be, in fact, a way of gaining those sympathies from others.
It was during this time when Brittany befriended Shelby Lee Holmes, another loner on the fringes. Shelby agreed to speak with us on the condition her mother Jodie could sit by her side for support.
One of the allegations was that you girls were romantically involved. Were you?
Never, no. We've always just been best friends, and that's it, yeah.
What did you guys like doing together? What were some of the things that you got up to?
Well, when we got our licences, we'd just drive around and find cool places to go, I guess, yeah. Go to the beach and just random things, whatever we felt like doing on that day.
But Brittany and Shelby were up to much more than just innocent drives to the beach.
I think they are a little bit dark, as in they would do things in cemeteries. They would go to cemetery tours and dark things. You know, there's some things with blood and knives, and I think they had a bit of an obsession with some dark stuff.
Oh, just what any other normal teenager, I guess, is into, like horror movies and things like that, but nothing alarming.
At 18 years old, Brittany Dwyer had moved in with her best friend Shelby Holmes. Brittany struggled with the responsibility of rent and bills and turned to drugs.
I think at that time, I was fearing the worst, and I truly believe that there were drugs involved.
While Brittany was hiding much of her life from her mum and brother, her constant texting with Shelby revealed a sinister side to their friendship.
Well, I was aware that she would always be on her phone texting, but never did I think that she was dark like that, talking about that kind of stuff.
What sort of stuff?
Blood and knives and slitting throats.
There was something like 19,000 messages between the two of you over the course of 2 years. And you, in those messages, discussed killing people at rave parties, going on rampages, slitting throats.
Of course, that's a joke. Not many people would take that as a joke, but Brittany and I just watched a lot of horror movies and just joked, I guess.
Meanwhile, Brittany's grandfather Robert was living alone in Adelaide, his wife Joyce in a nursing home with dementia. Like many seniors, Robert didn't trust the banks and kept his life savings hidden at home. It was a small fortune, more than $100,000.
He had a padlock on the shed. It was all locked up. And then he told me exactly how much money it was. And I said, oh my God, Dad. That's just too much money to have at home. I said, what if some drug dealer found out that you had all this cash at home? And he said, who's gonna know? And Brittany was standing right next to me.
Brittany was determined to get her grandfather's money and convinced her best friend Shelby to drive 2,000 kilometres with her to Adelaide to steal it.
Robert Whitwell lived in this sleepy Adelaide suburb for many years. He was a good neighbour and he was well respected, and he thought he and his life savings were safe.
Brittany and Shelby parked nearby, watched and waited, monitoring Robert's movements. The next evening, while Robert was out, the girls used a milk crate, climbed over the fence and tried to get into the shed. A security light came on in the backyard, scaring the girls away. Brittany and Shelby left empty-handed.
What were you going to do?
Just steal some money, I guess, from the shed.
There was a text message where Brittany issued a bit of a warning to you. Can you tell me what that said?
I walked past the house to see if he was home.
Hello.
He said hello to me, so I said hello. And then I texted Brittany saying that he's so nice.
What did she say to you?
She said something like, don't get attached to him. He might have to die. She sent that text to scare me because she knew I was scared and didn't really want to do it. So she was just trying to scare me and freak me out.
Did you believe her?
No. Not at all.
So was it all talk at that point?
Yeah, she just joked around a lot, so it was just another joke, I guess, to freak me out.
Shelby was working with Brittany. They went to undertake the break and enter. It wasn't successful. And then I think Shelby pulled back. So at that point, she's not now fulfilling what Brittany needs. So she may have then walked away and looked for somebody else to assist her in her plans because Shelby wasn't fulfilling that requirement anymore.
Enter Bernadette.
Indeed.
Bernadette Burns was 22 years old when she met Brittany, a young woman at loose ends, having lost custody of the daughter she had at 17 and spiralled into a desperate drug addiction.
What sort of people would a person like Brittany gather around her?
People she can control. It's all about control, manipulation, and remember, a psychopath sees everybody else either as prey or as somebody to compete with. So they will gather people around them that are prey that they can get something from.
Bernadette was just what Brittany was looking for. In August 2016, Brittany Dwyer and her new partner in crime, Bernadette Burns, drove the 2,000 kilometres from Brisbane to Adelaide. They planned to rob and kill Brittany's grandfather, Robert.
Bernadette waited outside in the car. Brittany is the only witness to what happened inside this house.
Brittany's version of events is shocking. Acting like it was a normal visit, Brittany and her grandfather sat side by side looking through photo albums and reminiscing over happy family times. Brittany claims that she had decided she couldn't go through with the murder and texted Bernadette to tell her she had changed her mind. Bernadette had wanted to watch the murder, but decided instead to wait in the car and do her makeup. She texted Brittany back saying, "Just harden up and do it." As Robert walked his granddaughter to the front door to say goodbye, Brittany pulled out a knife and stabbed her own grandfather repeatedly in the neck and chest. Her shocked papa simply asked why and staggered back to the kitchen to find bandages for his wounds. Brittany claims to have assisted her papa with a Band-Aid. Then, while Brittany inexplicably washed the dishes, Robert simply sat down in a chair and died. Brittany texted Bernadette, "It's done." Then ransacked the house, looking for the money they had come for. She never found it and ended up stealing $1,000 from his wallet, along with some valuables.
How did you find out that your dad had died?
The police turned up at my house at 10 o'clock one night, Monday night. They didn't know if it was a suicide or an accidental death or that someone had done it to him.
Who could come into a house and stab an old man to death?
While Tonya and Ryan were receiving the worst news of their lives, Brittany was driving the 2,000 kilometres back to Brisbane.
Little did I know that she was still driving back from Adelaide. And I said, "The police have just rung and said Papa's passed away." And she burst into tears. Hysterically burst into tears. And I said, "I need you to come with me to fly down to Adelaide." She said, "Yes, Mum, I'll be there in a couple of hours."
Brittany drove straight from her grandfather's house to meet up with her distraught family.
She turned up looking like she hadn't had a shower for a week. She hadn't brushed her hair for a week. She hadn't brushed her teeth for a week. I didn't put two and two together, though. I was just in a bit of a state of shock, I think.
Tonya, Ryan and Brittany then boarded the first flight to Adelaide, Brittany returning to the scene of the crime. For 21 days, Brittany kept up the act of grieving granddaughter, convincing her family she was just as shocked as they were, all the while holding her dark secret.
She was distraught, so emotional, being comforted by family, myself, Mum, but we were there together with his killer.
I mean, her heart must have been racing with the secret that she was holding. She'd hug us. She'd cry with us. But she chain smoked. And I can see why now.
Brittany feigned shock and was devastated. Is that all fake?
If she's a psychopath, yeah. It's how she would expect to respond in that situation. And they're very good at that. They're basically chameleons. They will adapt to a situation and they will have seen how other people respond. Her mother was probably devastated. So it's clear to her how she should behave in that scenario. Whether she felt it or not, she's a psychopath, no.
If Brittany was worried, she hid it well. Only days later, she even celebrated Ryan's birthday. A bittersweet day they spent at one of their grandfather's favourite places.
There's photos of us just enjoying that moment. I can't look at those photos because there's lies all over it.
For 3 weeks after the murder of her grandfather, Brittany Dwyer pretended to be in mourning. She and her accomplice, Bernadette Burns, believed they'd gotten away with murder. But an anonymous tip led police to arrest them and Brittany's first partner in crime, Shelby Holmes.
The detective on the phone tells me how sorry he is that he has to tell me this and inform me. But my daughter's been arrested for murder with Bernadette, and then to be extradited back to South Australia.
What? No, like, you've got the wrong person. This can't possibly be true.
When Tonya and Ryan saw Brittany in court, they were shocked by the way she looked
She looked a mess.
and stunned by her claims she was motivated to kill by the popular television series American Horror Story. But even more hurtful for the family was Brittany's 11th hour accusation that she'd been molested by her grandfather, a claim the court dismissed.
I was furious. And that's the reason why I think I would still slap her in the face. You know, that anger that's inside.
Tonya is also angry that Brittany's friend Shelby, who was part of the first robbery attempt, spent just a week in prison for trespassing.
So Shelby is now out of jail. How does that sit with you?
I was pretty angry in the beginning. She knew that Brittany was planning this. She was in my house. She didn't tell me. She didn't tell the police.
She wishes you would have said something. You could have stopped it. You could have warned her.
I didn't know anything about it at all, so I couldn't.
Tell me what it was that you did wrong.
I don't know how to word it.
You trespassed.
Yeah, I trespassed and I know that was wrong, but
Do you regret it?
definitely, yeah.
Why?
Shelby takes a minute to compose herself. Her mother, Jodie, quietly prompts her to say that she's sorry. And then they sit back down.
Okay. Do you want to say sorry?
Yes, sorry that all this ever happened.
Anything you would say to Brittany?
No.
Anything you would say to Tonya?
That I'm sorry that I went there in April, but you know, if I had known what she was planning to do, I would have warned her, but I had no idea, so I wasn't able to warn her. And
Anything you would say to Robert?
sorry.
Robert's family videos are a reminder of all that has been lost. Today, Tonya is both a daughter overcome with grief and a mother overwhelmed by questions.
What are the signs that I missed? What did I miss? What didn't I see? What didn't I pick up on?
Please don't blame yourself.
It's just a process that you go through. It was my dad. My daughter killed him.
The aftershocks have been devastating. Brittany's parents have separated, and Robert's beloved wife, Joyce, living nearby in a nursing home, died soon after his murder. Tonya hopes that, at the very least, what happened to her father might save another life. The family is hoping the sentence will be handed down this week, but regardless of what happens, Tonya and Ryan are determined to preserve Robert's memory as a loving father and devoted granddad. You'll find more on our website and Facebook page. Stay on 7 now, and thank you for making us part of your Sunday night.